You are live, it says. I don't believe it.
We're live.
I'm waiting for my phone to be like, you are live.
Are you sure it doesn't say live?
You are live.
Live.
This is Gather the Nerds Live Super Wanda Justice Vision League Edition.
There you go.
Because there's going to be two things we're going to talk about today, probably. WandaVision, Justice League.
And then WandaVision.
And then probably WandaVision again.
And then maybe some Batman.
Maybe some Batman. And it won't be like so. Oh, by the way, this is episode 176. I'm Cab, that's Nick.
What's up, guys?
Sam.
Hello.
Luke Skywalker.
Size cameo.
Disappointment.
Size cameo, yes. So for all of those of you who are watching us, if you look over Sam's shoulder, if you see Agatha, that is spoiler territory, which means spoilers. Don't know how it can be any more clear than that. It literally says spoilers. So, WandaVision Season 1 is complete. It is done. Now, we have 2 episodes to talk about. We have the episode, basically, not this past week, but the week before, which is basically the Take Me Back in Time episode, which, at that point, we know, like, Agatha has a sense of who or what, I guess what might be a better way to put it, what Wanda is. But she doesn't she's trying to understand at that point how she got there. And because, now, correct me if I'm wrong, original canon, she's a mutant, right? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The big thing that I took away from that episode, was not only one of the greatest quotes in TV history, which we'll get into, but the fact that she is not, in fact, a mutant, that basically, it sounded like when she was talking to Vision at some point later on, that she's almost part Infinity Stone, because she talked about, basically, I am the part of the Mind Stone, essentially, something like that. But we saw the experiments, the Hydra experiments, but she exhibited powers before those things started.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the scepter and stuff like that, like you started to understand and see what that was. But it seems like she had, in the way Agatha puts it, like she had powers and they would have withered and died on the vine. But the what I forget, whatever stone is that, is it the Mind Stone inside the scepter?
Why the bomb didn't
Yes.
go off.
Yeah. That the Mind Stone basically supercharged her like a can of Brondo. This got electrolytes.
This has got what plants crave.
And so you get that point, and you basically go through all of Wanda's things. So you go, we had heard this story about why she hated Tony Stark and the missile that blew up her, or the rocket or whatever that blew up or killed her family or whatever. But, like, correct me if I'm wrong, it didn't explode. Like,
It did not explode, at least from her memory.
Yeah, and so she was there for 2 days, like trauma, like just waiting for it to go, but it never exploded.
Correct.
Now, if in the movies she's pissed at Tony Stark because he killed her parents, is he talking about the fact that thing came in and the rubble, or in her memories, did it explode? Like, I was a little confused by this.
I don't think it exploded at all.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously something destroyed the apartment and her parents. Something exploded.
I mean, there was a projectile of some kind.
Well, and what I mean is, I think Sam's right. I think that was like a secondary thing. Once all the dust settled, you see the bomb. Yeah. And my thought would be, she thinks it never went off. It was a dud. I think her powers protected her, similar to how mutants would have their powers outwardly come out in times of high stress. Like Jubilee and Storm and all the other ones. Even though I realize they've said that she's not a mutant. Yeah. I think there's some callbacks to that.
But even Agatha asked the question, like, did you use a whatever? Did you use this? Like, she was assuming that as a child, that she had any control over those powers whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you get that piece of it, but it was interesting going back through basically all these times of stupendous trauma for Wanda. As Agatha's trying to figure out, she's got a theory. It's clear she's trying to get somewhere, but she's trying to figure out basically where her powers came from or whatever. And it wasn't until the very end where basically you see basically how the hex was built. When she's standing in for the first time we see basically the ruins or where that house would have been.
Right. Right. I think that was, I don't think those were I don't think that was the destruction of the house. I think that was the house that halted construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the foundation was there, and then they put the wall up or started to put the wall up, and then he died, and they can't, they stopped the process.
See, and I didn't
representative of their relationship.
And so what I was trying to figure out is also too, because clearly Westview as a town is in a huge amount of disrepair. Like it's small town America,
right?
Like it's all the jobs have left and all these things, and so she goes there and walking into that basically little area of where their house would have been, like, hello, powers. Like, she basically, I mean, for lack of a better term, she basically vomited out the hex. Like, and that's when Agatha realizes, oh snap. And the first time we hear it in all of MCU, you're the Scarlet Witch.
Right. Well, yeah. No. Now there's mention of it in one of the other movies where I'm pretty sure one of the government agencies refers to her as Scarlet Witch. Like maybe like Civil War or something, somewhere around there. I'm
Civil
pretty
War
sure
would be, I mean, it's possible. Like, to me, like, I don't remember ever her being referred to as Scarlet Witch because she never had the costume.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I just thought someone had used it before.
Yeah.
If they did say it though, they didn't mean it in this context.
Correct.
Like if they said it, they said, "Hey, she has magic powers and they're red."
Yes.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
Of a being that
is,
yeah.
You are a red magical being.
You are exactly right.
Could have thought of so many other things.
Yes. You get that piece of it. But before that, and this is something that the entire internet, I mean, as much as WandaVision has been exploding the internet on a weekly basis, you go through this episode, and the episodes are getting longer and longer and longer, and you have the conversation with her and Vision. And Vision, at this point, this is pre-Thanos, clearly. And they're sitting there talking. This is right after Age of Ultron. This is after Quicksilver, Speedy Dude is unceremoniously removed from the MCU. And
the apparently real one.
The apparently real one. Good old Ralph.
So bad.
And she's just talking about like these waves and waves of grief. Just when she thinks she's getting back up, here comes another one, knocks her down. And Vision has a very interesting perspective on it because he said, I've always been alone. He has no context for grief because he doesn't have anything. I mean, for lack of a better term, he has nothing left to. He doesn't have anything to lose because he's always been alone. He's been programmed alone, and very matter-of-factly starts talking about grief and just drops the bomb. What is grief if not love persevering? And the entire internet just starts bawling. I mean, within 24 hours of that, my Facebook is like, oh my gosh, WandaVision. Like, they put words, like, that one sentence probably helped so many people in that moment and going forward. Even like Kevin Smith, like he got to talking to it. I have friends who are just like, who have lost people recently through COVID and stuff like that. They're just like, holy crap, like this was the next step for me. Like this is what pushed me over. And in true internet fashion, I also saw some articles, the controversial sentence or statement that was made in WandaVision, and like if you look at the comments of those clickbait articles, it's just like nobody's saying anything of what you're talking about. Like this is like the internet turned on the trolls completely. But it was a very poignant moment, and for her, like I think it also is just like, oh, like it kind of gets there, but she's still clearly grieving and in that process. And then, Thanos happens and she's, more trauma, more grief, but, it will go down, in my opinion, is one of the greatest scenes in streaming or TV, whatever, or streaming TV history of all time. Like of all time. I mean, there are things that you will talk that are still talked about, like, granted, I dislike old TV, but like the finale of MASH is something that is still talked about, finale of Cheers, all of these things in these different moments in TV. And this will be one of those things, which I think is pretty cool. Because somebody said, I saw another Facebook comment, like, thank you for making a show about basically grief. I mean, really, that's what this show is the stages of grief presented in very interesting ways. And it was awesome. We also learned, I think in that episode, please correct me if I'm wrong here, that she did not steal Vision's body after all. That was a lie.
Mm-hmm. It was a lie, but I still can't understand how they created video of, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
they have a Sam, clearly.
Well, it's very interesting.
Yes, they have a Sam.
Uh-oh. Nick's muted. Nick,
you're muted.
Nick, come back to us.
Nick, you're muted. Says their mic isn't connected.
Uh-oh.
Nick, what happened?
So I'm going to interpret for Nick.
Okay. What?
The Boston Red Sox are not a great team.
I'm
not a fan. I hope they don't win the World Series again.
Yes. Something is wrong. Something. We're being censored.
Run this like professionals around here.
There we go. We're being censored.
I don't know what just happened. Like it just wigged out and changed the input and everything. Oh, how strange. What I was saying was, how do we know that when she created him in the Hex, that didn't pull his body from one location to another?
Because his body was used to build the White Vision.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. Interesting choice. We'll get to that.
I don't know if we can assume that, though. I mean, they may have very well created copies of parts and whatnot, but
and they clearly like the stone in the other Vision's forehead resembles the arc reactor with Tony Stark.
Bingo. So, I think you are.
He would never be involved.
I think you're probably exactly correct that is probably a mini arc reactor, probably powering Vision. The only reason I think that that Vision was built from the other Vision is because they made reference to he's like some $80 or $800 billion weapon because of the vibranium. I don't know that that dude, being as shady as he is, can sneak another $800 billion of vibranium somewhere.
Maybe they had a backup.
It's possible. You should always have a backup.
Maybe the backup was in place to, in case Vision were to go down,
A physical
dismantle
copy.
yeah.
I mean, I think
Take the operating system from one computer and put it in the other one.
I think the final confrontation, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but where they're having the conversation about the ship of Theseus, and
Yes.
if you take all the original parts and put them back together again, is it still the same ship? I think that doesn't mean as much if it's not his original parts. I mean, obviously with some augmentation and rebuilding and whatnot, but I think the whole point of that conversation was, we're technically both the same Vision.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get to that part. And so that's 2 episodes ago is basically her walking through. Agatha calls her the Scarlet Witch. She has the kids. They're out in the street. Confrontation is coming. Clearly, you get into this episode, and this episode is, opens up, and you kind of get a sense of originally, because we also know now more about Agatha in general, because we at the beginning of 2 episodes ago, we basically saw her, the equivalent, I guess, of a Salem witch trial, but clearly those witches have powers, and Agatha has the ability to absorb magical power, which would come in handy later. And so, battles, this, that, whatever, and you learn that, or you see, or Wanda learns at that point that if she uses her powers against Agatha and Agatha absorbs them, like, you start seeing what's happening to Wanda happen to all the other witches. Like, she starts basically absorbing her life force, essentially, I guess.
Seems like Agatha's basically a witch Highlander.
Yes, I mean that
there can be only one.
You're not wrong. I like that. Agatha's a witch Highlander.
Then I need the Queen theme song.
That's right.
Yeah. By the way, playing. Agatha is a witch Highlander is the title of this episode.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, the thing that's interesting about Agatha, and like, I get that the people that really love digging into all this stuff and kind of knowing ahead of time what might be happening. Maybe they were excited that it was Agatha, and all that stuff, but I didn't catch any of that. So when they announced the character as Agnes, I was like, okay, whatever. Agnes, great. Nosy neighbor, awesome. Well, then as I'm watching back, there are callbacks to the Salem witch trials. Did you catch that?
Mm-mm. So
when she says the only way my husband would remember my anniversary is if it was June, whatever, that date is when it shows her being put on the stake is the year after the Salem witch trial started, on the exact day that she said, same month, the whole 9.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, what? That's crazy. So, a year after the witch trial started, that's when Agatha's confronted by her coven in June. June's when she says that's when the wedding would, or the anniversary would be, and name that specific day as well.
Well, and here's the thing. Also, her husband's name is Ralph, which we will get to a little later. Good old Ralph. Yeah, I mean, freaking Marvel, man. Everything just tied together.
Everything's threading the needle. Everything's threading the needle.
So you see all of these things. I mean, you knew a battle was coming. You knew it was going to be something. Agatha got hit by a car. I thought the Wizard of Oz call out was pretty interesting. It was pretty funny just because her shoes are like.
I did too.
The fact that they didn't roll up, like, that disappointed me just a little bit.
Well, they might have gotten sued if they did that.
Yeah. You've got, that happening. You see basically the as the hex is coming apart, like there's an opportunity there. There's Josh. And I'm gone now. So there's an opportunity there for the military to show up. We see Monica again. in all this, like, in a lot of her powerful glory. You see, good old Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo. So here's one thing I do want to know. The whole point of Jimmy Woo going to Westview was because there's a missing witness. We got no payoff on that whatsoever. So
True.
Just
This
saying.
is true.
WandaVision season 2, Jimmy Woo. It's the.
Are they're making a season 2, right?
I don't know because.
Or are they just going to use it as a platform to get in the multiverse of madness?
But they can't.
I mean,
They can't
yeah.
what?
Well, the tie-in there that I was looking forward to anyway was Pietro, and it turns out it's not really the multiverse. It's just some random bloke.
Yes.
That was
who just happens to look like the X-Men version of her brother.
Yes.
If there is any complaint to be made, that
pure
is my
happenstance.
complaint. They made this big deal about, hey, we have acquired all the rights. We can use everybody. And then they just spend all that money on a red herring.
Oh, that's fake Pietro.
It's just some random dude.
That's okay.
So now if they want to bring him in later, they got to recast him again.
So the random dude, Ralph, is like what we have since learned is that when Agatha got there, now I don't know if she was there before or after Scarlet Witch showed up, because would she have the ability to get into the hex? Like if she came from the outside? I don't know if she was there before, but she basically moved into Ralph's house, which was next to Scarlet Witch, and she enchanted Ralph with a fancy necklace. And what I don't understand is Church.
Hey guys.
Is what I don't understand is she enchanted him with that necklace to basically keep Ralph under her spell.
Ralph.
But where
I dressed myself.
But the question is, where did Ralph's powers come from? How did he have super speed?
It was Agnes all along.
So Agnes
That's what I assume.
Powers, like to me, that was something. I'm like, if you've got poor Ralph over there, doing Ralph things, and all of a sudden he has this super speed or whatever. Like, to me, that's one thing I don't understand. But you also look at the fact that, you've got Wanda, who basically conjured children, also with powers.
I don't know if she did, though. I think that's one of the things that
Josh.
we need to figure out at the end. She is coming into her powers, and you hear the voices, and she does say at one point, "Thank you for choosing me to be your mom." I feel like they are another something else that we don't know yet.
This is where I think maybe the multiverse isn't dead.
Yeah.
Well,
if we're fast forwarding to the end, and not gonna lie, so they're doing that big panning shot out to the lake, and I immediately went, "Tell me that's Alkali Lake. Tell me we've got some Dark Phoenix action coming."
Oh man.
And then it was just a cabin with some runes.
Cabin in Sokovia with some runes. I assume it's in Sokovia.
I just thought they found Bruce Banner again.
Yeah.
Why do you keep looking for me?
But you've got so she's out there having coffee while astral projecting, which I think is important. Projecting herself as she's reading a book. How awesome would life be if you had to study something, you could astral project yourself to study while you're just sitting there drinking coffee on the porch, like, and getting this information. And it's the dark hole.
Like a lot of work.
And it's the dark hole that she's reading.
Here's the thing that I think the reason we all leaned toward Mephisto, but also kind of the larger picture that Marvel makes. There are many references to the devil when talking about her kids and those kinds of things, which in Marvel's case would be Mephisto. So I think the big bad that we never really saw, ultimately, I think that's where we're going to end up. And it may be with Doctor Strange. Maybe it's not with Scarlet Witch directly, but I think he's kind of been in the background all along, kind of like Thanos. We knew Thanos was there. We knew the Infinity Stones were there. And I think now the real Puppet Master's starting to come out a little bit. Because even Thanos's guy that they kill when they're going to Titan, even he quotes Mephisto from like way back comic books, like line for line. And then on top of that, you have mention of him in Captain America. So I really think he's been there all along. Like it's just in a little text in the folder that he looks at about the Tesseract. So
it's certainly possible, especially if he's a big. So I mean, because here's the thing: we know Scarlet Witch is in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. That has been confirmed 900 different times. Like that,
so she's in it. You're saying
is she in it?
She is.
Is she actually in it?
So that is happening. So at that point, maybe that's how they tie into, because they've said, like, WandaVision. When they did WandaVision, it's one of those things. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you're not going to be completely lost in Multiverse of Madness. But even Marvel said you will enjoy it more if you do, because all of a sudden you understand how. I think part of it will be how you get Wanda Maximoff from the original, Avengers type movies to Scarlet Witch, most powerful being on the planet. You can, go pound sand, Captain Marvel. So you have those things there, and Nick, I think you're right. Like, Marvel, they will reach back to those tiny little Easter eggs. Be like, oh, we told you this 20 years ago. You just missed it. Like,
and I mean, look at how long it took us to really understand that we had Infinity Stones in every movie we've ever watched.
Yeah,
I mean, that's true.
I mean, short of maybe Iron Man might have been the only one that it wasn't in. Like, I don't know, but there's just a point where it's like, man, what in the world? How did we miss all that?
Yeah, and I mean, granted, like when she's astral projecting and reading the Darkhold, like she doesn't look very like pleasant hero-y. She looks very
Dark Phoenix
evil. Like I'm telling you, her and Dark Phoenix, same tailor. Like, look at the costumes.
Same company.
So,
originally the same team.
Yeah, and so you look at the, one thing I will say, like you have the battle, and you get, you tie up the loose ends with what's his face, the sword guy. You see that. You see more of Photon's powers during this episode.
Glazing over Darcy being the true hero of the whole story.
I don't disagree with you at all. And so, I mean, who else would be driving an ice cream truck in order to do that? But to me, like all of this buildup, and this is just me personally, all of this buildup and all of these things, yes, this final episode was good, but it was not the best episode ever. It was emotional. Don't get me wrong. It was, because, I mean, poor Wanda, again, like she can't catch a break at all. Like, to me, like, the core of that episode was emotional, and I think our brains, especially our like linear thinking Marvel brains, is like we need to wrap up X number of things. Like we have storylines that we need, we need threads that we need tied, and we didn't get that in that episode. I didn't feel like all the outer stuff. You got the stuff about her, and but everything else that was going on in the show, like Darcy was there for 3 seconds. Granted, it was the second greatest 3 seconds of television. I would venture to say the greatest 3 seconds of television involving an ice cream truck.
Oh yeah,
like I would give you that.
That turned into like a tank.
Yeah, exactly right.
Where are the contenders there for that?
Exactly. Like
you got Legion, and that's about it.
Yeah. So.
Starring Paul Bettany.
Starring Paul Bettany, it all ties together. I mean, you've got that. You've got the missing witness in Westview from Jimmy Woo. So clearly, he's abandoned his original task. Like he's like, I'm out. And so, But when he when he got the cell phone and he called somebody and he said Cliff, like he said, Cliff, can you come? Can you be here within the hour? I was really hoping that Cliff would be,
Cliff Clavin.
Yes, exactly, postman. That it would be like somebody would show up, like, I don't know, an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, because clearly stuff's going down. Like, he knows about Vision at that point, like all of these things, and it was just like, hey, here are my buddies.
Yeah, but they've got the Sokovia Accord still, so they couldn't show up. It wasn't sanctioned.
And so
I do wonder who the witness is, though.
I do too. Like, I really want to know, but
I wonder if it was the bunny.
Yes.
Poor Senor Scratchy.
Also known as Nicholas Scratch.
Yeah. Or the dog. That's
the
why
dog.
She had to get rid of him.
Because he was a witness.
That was really the whole story, was her having to get rid of the dog.
Yeah. Turn him into a dog because it was a witness. That's true.
Then kill him.
So let's talk about Vision and White Vision. Because when they were talking about, I mean, they got deep, like philosophical, like even more so, like you had this real emotional stuff. And here's the thing, like you knew what was coming. So the whole time you're dreading what was coming because you knew what was going to happen. And then you have the two visions battling and, destroying Westview as heroes do. And
Martha.
And they're talking about, and I love the fact that they resolve it like logically. To me, like that was satisfying. It's like, it's the ship of Theseus. It's like if they restore the original or if they replace a plank, is it the same? And is it not the same? And like clearly, I mean, it's like Schrodinger's cat. Is it in the box? You don't know.
And I kind of wonder with the touch to the forehead, what happened? You know what I mean? Like, what did we do? Did we just transfer identity to? What did we do?
So
transfer data, right?
Yeah. So to me, he had mentioned that.
Is that like a USB 3 or USB C?
That's Vision. That's Vision wire or
cataract wire.
Yeah. So you look at it. He talked about the fact that memory, like that vision that the White Vision had. There were memories there. He had them. Like, and I assume just like he could unlock people's minds in the Hex, that he basically did the same thing. And like, I was hoping we were going to get a big payoff for that because all of a sudden he literally says at the end, I am Vision. And all of a sudden you have this physical carbon-based synthezoid of Vision that lives, that is Vision with all of his memories and all of those things. Why is he not with Wanda in the shack?
All right.
I don't know. Like, to me, I'm just like, to me, it seemed like he was like, he understood what was happening. He knew that he wasn't going to survive, like original Vision, that he wasn't going to survive the whole thing. And so to me, it's like the whatever Doctor, it's a David Tennant clone Doctor Who all over again. Like,
oh man,
here like all that Wanda wants in the world is Vision. That's it. That's all she wants in the world. And he figured out a way to do it. But White Vision just F's off. We never see him again.
Well, but I think there's a reason
in the episode.
Yeah.
He could be out chopping wood or catching some salmon.
I think there's a reason for that, though. I think they've got to be setting that up for something later.
Is that how he fishes or chops wood?
Both. Does it at the same time.
Yeah.
Fishing wood with one
the fish and
they've got to be setting that up for something. I just can't. I can't believe that because that was a powerful scene in regard to exactly how you put it. Just setting it up to where he transfers who he is to it. There's too much to that story for it just not to be anything.
Well, and again, if it's the same original hardware, he wasn't necessarily doing any kind of a transfer. It's just that he was reminding himself of who he was, I guess.
Mhm.
So
to me, it seemed well because they had made references in the show to basically a weapon more easily controlled, and so like to me, like to me at that point, I immediately think of Professor X and Phoenix again, where he put the blocks in her brain. We all saw how well that worked.
Fine.
Thanks, Magneto.
Yeah, something similar to that, where basically, yes, it's Vision. In order for Vision to function, it has to be all of Vision, or at least his head, I guess. But they did things to basically suppress those things so he would just obey, essentially. But like, I was hoping for a payoff, and my only theory as to why they didn't is you have all these crazy things happening. Like you have the grief of Wanda and the acceptance essentially at the end. And if White Vision shows up, he's like, "Hey, babe, I'm Vision." Like, does it take away from that?
No, not at all. The mood stays the same for the whole show if Vision starts saying "babe."
And so at that point, that's why I'm wondering, like, to Nick's point, like, he may have gone off to do something else, or get a paint job, I guess. I mean, he's a little off-putting. And then, I mean, that's the thing. In a battle, like, do you really want a white outfit? Are you not going to get filthy every time you go battle some sort of
When you're Vision, though, you don't get dirty.
It's true. I mean,
touche.
Here's the thing. I assume vibranium can get dirt on it. I don't know. Like, or he'll just get the blood of his enemies on it.
Yeah, he can just go non-corporeal. The dirt falls off, and then he rematerializes. Oh, look at that! I'm clean. How about that? Wow.
Yeah, how about that? I did think that was a very during the battle. I thought that was pretty cool. Where basically they both did the same things. Where like they went, like I said, they went, and then also like their fists are like my fist is stuck inside my own arm. Like I'm very confused by this. I mean, you have that battle, and really this is how Vision either one comes back in WandaVision season 2, or in future, things of maybe we see Vision in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
Could be.
I think that's happening.
And so because if it is a multiverse thing or whatever, or a a mind bendy thing or whatever, how do you bend the mind of Vision? Can you? Like, you look at like what happened in Doctor Strange when they put people in the different, like the mirror dimension and all these other things, and how normal human minds or whatever, like it has this whole thing. Like even Doctor Strange is not immune to what happens when you do those things. But Vision, on the other hand, I don't know. Like they call him a carbon-based synthezoid, but I assume his brain is all robot. Like he's just got a USB stick in there. Like,
yeah.
They dug in deep enough that we can see there's not anything in there.
That's true. We did see the inside.
Reality for a different multiverse. Wouldn't that, in essence, reshape the information that goes into creating that version of Vision? I mean, you're going to have multiple visions.
I mean, yeah. Man. I mean, it usually takes a lot of alcohol to do that, but you're probably right.
Now, here's the weird thing. What if when this starts, all the other visions basically pretend like the multiverse is over here and the door just hasn't been opened yet? But once that door is opened, which opens to all the multiverses, all of them, all those visions basically all of a sudden sense each other. They link up.
It's interesting.
All that knowledge comes through to all of them.
Then
but you have to
like the Borg,
like the Borg. I mean, but you have to assume in a multiverse, in a true multiverse, not all visions, not all versions of Vision are good.
Probably not.
So
some of them are probably poorly made, knockoff brands.
Yeah.
Some of them are aluminum.
Hammer Industries Vision.
Some of them are from Earth X.
Somebody have a felt good.
Wrong multiverse.
I said that on purpose.
So I mean,
said it on purpose.
to me, like, they left a lot of things open at the end, and certainly on purpose, like, because WandaVision has become this. WandaVision is probably the closest thing to appointment television that we've had in quite a long time.
Absolutely.
Well, it's kind of up there with Mandalorian.
Yeah. I mean, Disney Plus. I mean, really, they know what they're doing.
Setting the bar high.
But I think it's important because, like to Cav's point, these shows are kind of keeping the flames going while they're working on movies. And I know that the plan was to do the shows anyway, but I think from a fan's perspective, like I just looked up because there was an article in the agenda about the upcoming shows, and I just looked up all the ones that are coming out just this year alone. Like that, that's amazing, and I'm excited that in a couple of weeks I get another show to watch.
We get
so
a weekend break.
Do what?
We get a 1 weekend break before they start the engine back up.
I mean, I'm going to put this out there. As much as the Marvel movies are great, they could never make another Marvel movie again if they kept doing TV like this.
True.
Because that's the thing. WandaVision was 5 hours. Give me 5 hours of content versus a 2-hour WandaVision movie all day, every day. Like, I love that we get both. Don't get me wrong. And as long as Marvel's printing money, we're going to continue to get both. But I mean,
I want some of those dollars.
Yes, it's hard to argue with what they've accomplished.
Absolutely.
With that show. And but here's my only concern. Man, they set the bar really high.
They did.
Let's
not forget though, it's Marvel.
Well,
I know.
It was supposed to be Cap and Winter Falcon first.
It was.
And it got switched. Can you imagine the Cap and Winter Falcon team now going
Winter Falcon, Winter Soldier?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Winter Falcon.
Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier. Can you imagine those that crew now watching this and going, how do we follow that?
So here's
oh my gosh.
So are they gonna have a Snow Owl in your version
it's
of
supposed to be after us. Do what?
So are they gonna have a Snow Owl version of your show?
Oh, that's a great name for a hero.
Is that a character, Snow Owl?
So here's something that they just got announced. I believe
amnesia, though,
that
because he doesn't know who he is.
Church, welcome back.
Thank
you. So yes, Falcon and Winter Soldier are coming up next.
That was good.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Falcon and Winter Soldier are coming up next. However, they have said they are one and done. 6 episodes. That's it. No season 2.
That's probably all they could stand from each other.
Maybe. I mean,
I bet if you throw enough money at them, they're going to do it again.
No, it's a hit. I meant Falcon and Winter Falcon.
You meant the characters themselves.
Yes, at the end, they should beat a big bad and be like, "Oh, I'm so glad we teamed up. We're never doing this again, ever."
So Anthony Mackie is quoted as saying in Variety, while bound by standard Marvel-grade secrecy, the actor confirms there have been no discussions of a second season of Falcon and Winter Soldier. He said there are no plan. A similar statement. Okay. This is throw all of this out the window just based on this statement alone. A similar statement was recently made by WandaVision director Matt Shakman, who said there are no plans for a second season of his Disney Plus series. However, Shakman said those plans could change. Yeah.
Could change.
Pretty sure those plans changed after episode 3 or 4.
I was going to say, the success of the show is going to drive a lot of that decision,
Yes.
And Marvel being Marvel and being able to thread the needle the way that they do, even if they don't have a season 2, they can still manage to tie it all in. I think that's the thing that I'm the most excited about with these shows is the fact that you don't have to watch them to watch the next set of movies, but they're going to inform what's going on in the movies, and it might make it a more enjoyable experience.
I can there's gonna be some point, and we're probably gonna be 80 years old, and Marvel's gonna be like, okay, it's time to reboot, and we're gonna have the ability to literally go back to Iron Man and experience the MCU as a whole with 1,000 hours of content.
But we're 80.
But we're probably 80.
So when they talk about there not being a second season, us being skeptical, if they make a WandaVision season 2, but it's not in the context of like every episode is a TV show, is it still WandaVision? Or at that point, are they going to need to start calling it the Wanda and the Vision?
I think it leads to Scarlet Witch. Like I think you just call it Scarlet Witch. Yeah,
Scarlet. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, unless they plan to bring in, unless they plan to bring in the Cataract Vision, then you know, I really think you just go with Scarlet Witch. But I also think it depends where they're going with it, because I could see this being a new in between movie option. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they make a new movie, then they release all these series, then they make a new movie that ties into that. So I mean, I think along with that story of the movies, I think it helps inform the direction of the TV. I don't know. Does
anybody else want like a 6 or 8 episode Agatha series? Is it just me?
I'll take everything I can get.
Like, because here's the thing. I mean, to Nick's point earlier, she's been alive since the Salem witch trials. She's been up to shenanigans for quite some time. Those shenanigans need to be
cataloged.
Yes. We need to catalog those shenanigans.
Calm down over there with the shenanigans.
And each season could be her taking out all the other witches so that she is the only one.
The only one.
There you go. Highlander witch style.
I mean, you've got WandaVision, you know, this bar is so high. Now, there are other things coming, like Loki, for example. Like, if anything is going to live up to WandaVision,
Loki's going to knock that bar
it's
up.
It's going to be Loki. Yeah, I mean that's really what that's going to be.
At this point, is it weird that I'm actually kind of worried about Winter Falcon and the other
Captain
person?
Soldier?
Captain Soldier.
Let's see.
I'm not worried about it.
I'm just worried about it keeping the fires burning.
I think there's enough people that love Sebastian Stan that it's not going to make any difference. And I think
people do like Sebastian Stan.
This is the reason I told
think
Hannah
the chemistry
on this episode.
Well, and I think the chemistry of the two characters, I think will save that show. I really do.
I mean,
because Harper, we were watching the Legends on Disney Plus last night, and we watched their stories, both of their stories, and you see their interaction, and she's like, "Oh, I want to watch that movie." And it was Civil War. It's like, "I hate you." Can you move your seat up? No. Just stuff that is funny. So
I think it'll be great. I like for us. I think we'll love every minute of it. I'm a little worried about mainstream audiences being like, "Well, this is nothing like WandaVision."
And I mean, it's going to be
hopefully not.
If it's the buddy cop series, we hope it is. Like
it will be.
It will be.
Yeah.
Like really, emotionally, it is the anti-WandaVision. I mean,
it's been a heavy show. I mean,
yeah,
WandaVision has been a heavy show, and I think given the context of,
Really?
unless you're a
the context
sociopath
of everything that
No
we've
lighthearted.
had, and, everything that's gone on in the last year. I mean, I think it fit perfectly with what people needed to see, and I think this is kind of the upswing of that.
I mean, you certainly. Let's wrap up WandaVision before we get into other things, and let's let by the way, this awesome, fantastical spoilers little thing there, courtesy of the dude who's next to her. That is Sam's amazing work. Hang on,
sir.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Yes, it is. I'm telling you, I really wanted to share it in a bunch of different places, like on Reddit and stuff like that. But also I want to keep this for ourselves.
Yeah, that's got to stay for us, and I don't want anybody getting sued either.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone's getting sued over that.
Disney doesn't do that, Nick.
That's right.
Yeah, they don't.
You're absolutely right. They don't send cease and desist orders for anybody ever.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
But that's only Star Wars that they do that on.
Yes, hang on. I need to throw the original up. So I can't even put it there. Are you kidding
You
me?
can just recreate the scene with us.
Yeah, just too big.
Sam could do it.
Yep.
That'd be Hannah right there in the chair.
Yeah. So
We'll work out.
Going.
So is WandaVision as a whole, to wrap up WandaVision, so many things happen in that episode. You know, Wanda's.
Thank you for the visual, by the way.
Do what I can.
It's back to old times.
Glad that's on the interwebs. Instant regret. Sorry, Kev.
You're fine. This is far for the course.
And I'm back too.
That's true. Coincidence? I don't think so.
No. Mephisto.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I mean, you look at WandaVision as a whole, like, you know, I was, you know, admittedly, I was skeptical going in, and I can't really. This show was so much more than I think even anybody hoped it would be. I don't think anybody went into this show understanding what it was going to be. Like, I don't know that. Yes, it was about, you know, there was Vision and this and that, and, you know, there are the kids and all of that, and we have all these theories about where this lands, like House of M and Mephisto and all of these things. But at the end of the day, that's a show about loss and a show about grief and working through something so horrendous. Like, really, you're the most powerful being on the planet and you don't know it. And you go back to the X-Men thing where their powers show up in times of high stress. And you have lost everything. Everything.
Multiple times.
What, like, you know, a human being with no powers struggles through that. But you also get all of a sudden, like, somebody who can literally bend reality. What would happen? And I think that for a lot of people who have suffered a loss like that, because I've asked this question to a lot of people, so I'm going to ask it for all of you. If you were the Scarlet Witch / Wizard, you had those powers and you experienced the same level of loss, do you not do the exact same thing? I don't make.
As soon as Viz disappears in front of you?
I don't make like. I don't know that I make any. I don't know that I make any different decision than she did. Like,
No,
if you had the
absolutely not.
ability to do it, I mean, sorry, people of Westview, Dottie, who was supposed to be like something and she was nothing, and
Switch, man. Bait and switch on
Yeah.
that. I was so bummed.
I mean, I hear things. I wanted to know more about the neighbor, the guy who was cutting through the wall. I feel like he was underutilized. But do you make
I'll
any?
come back.
Do you make any different decision? I mean, if you have those powers and you suffer that level of loss, that's the thing. Like, people are like, you know, the townspeople basically turned on her, and yes, I understand why, because they were apparently in this never sleeping state, which certainly will drive you crazy. Because, like, I just want to sleep and let my kid out of my room, out of the room or whatever. Like, I get why they'd be angry, but I'm also like, sorry, not sorry. Like,
I could understand starting it. I would hope that I would be able to pull myself out of it once I've started to realize what is going on. Like, when she leaves the Hex to take the missile back and throw it at him, she's acknowledging, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it comes off a little villainish. That being said, I'm not in that situation. I never will be. I don't have those powers. Even if something bad happens, I don't know what I'd do.
I think that was the implication. Was at first she didn't know, and then as she realized that it was her, I'm not sure that she did have the full power to just go ahead and, like, you know, snap her fingers, as some have in the past.
She was telling Viz that she's not controlling this, and even though she might be, she sounded like she was being honest.
But I think she was unaware.
Yeah.
I think that's the larger.
Is that literally the Scarlet Witch inside her?
I think that's the overarching thing, is that yes, she was in control, but no, she was unaware because she wasn't. You know, that's the astral projection of her reading the book. I mean, you know, she's not aware of what's going on.
So you think she's not aware she's reading the Darkhold back there?
Oh,
I hope she doesn't walk back there. Then she's going to spill that coffee.
Yeah. So to that point,
Thanks,
point
Josh.
of maybe her not being aware of stuff like that, in that context, is Agatha not a hero instead of a villain? Does she release does she release people if Agatha doesn't take her through what she took her through and basically unlock the Scarlet Witch?
So
Like,
are
I
we
think-
saying that the Scarlet Witch is like the Phoenix? It's another entity that's taken over her body?
No, I think it's a suppression of her subconscious.
Okay.
I think she's always been the Scarlet Witch.
Depends on
Because
what
she had-
Phoenix origin or Phoenix story you're
True.
saying.
Very true. Very true. But I think the way that they set it up was quite simple. It's always been within her, and the Mind Stone enhanced it, and then the levels of trauma that she's experienced suppressed it.
Yeah.
And when she finally unleashed it, it was said to her, "You have no idea what you've done." And so there's a degree of she doesn't fully understand all the implications, just like to switch universes, Flashpoint. Same exact, issue of you're manipulating things to benefit yourself, whether you're aware of it or not, which ultimately creates a paradox of other things that have happened. So, for me, it's I don't know. I think everybody absolutely. I think if people dealing with grief, and I'll speak for myself, I think that's absolutely something that crosses your mind to make it how it was so that you don't have to feel that pain. I thought it was also very important and poignant in the show when she stopped her boys from aging up so they escaped the feelings, because I think a lot of people suppress what they deal with, grief or not, and that causes a lot of underlying things overall, because we have to feel our feelings. We have to take hold of them and own them. And I think that's what the whole point of Wanda, maybe from a fan care side of things, I think that may have been a larger picture that Marvel wanted to put out there, because they've been very progressive with other things, from relationships to identity as a whole. So I applaud Marvel for bringing that very critical conversation up, because it is important that even when feelings suck, we got to feel them, and we got to try to kind of process them. And yes, Josh, I'm getting all psychologish.
I mean, you look at, really at that point, like Agatha may be the hero of Westview, and now she is a permanent part of Westview. I guess she's going to live with Ralph forever.
Well, he did call her the missus.
Yeah, I mean,
I
so you've got
Snooper's
that.
gonna snoop. Here's the thing, though. Did anybody else think when she said "you live here," she was meaning that park? Because that's what I thought. I thought, man, that's cold blooded.
Here.
You live
Just
here
here.
now.
Here now.
Don't get off.
And
the
I was
ground.
like, oh, she made her sit.
Yeah. You've got. I mean, there's so much. It
Easy
has
there, Church.
going back
Yeah,
on
sorry.
going back on a
My power's manifesting.
going back on a rewatch, I think is going to be very interesting, knowing basically where it starts and where it ends, because I think we will see more and more what, like there will be threads that we missed. Like, for sure.
Nick, did you just drink out of a carton of milk?
No,
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I don't hardly drink milk to begin with.
He drinks his
The
milk out of a
the other
bag.
thing that I the other thing probably the only point with Marvel where I was kind of like, did you take it too far, was I think it might have been last week, where they basically had that antidepressant medication ad. And I understood what they were doing with it and why they were doing it, but from a 10,000 foot view of it, I was kind of like, that's kind of heartless, because it was like when you're ready to move on with your life and deal with your issues and feel your feelings, and it's just like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that was the nexus of referring to basically, I mean,
Right.
I know why they did it, but it's certainly, it was one of those. We didn't have a commercial this time, this last one. But let's wrap it up talking
because we're not
about
in the age of commercials anymore. We're in the time frame of streaming TV.
time of streaming.
There you go.
That's
I wish
smart.
that there'd been like some sort of, if you just cut them all out and put the commercials back to back, that they told their own little story or something.
I bet they do.
yeah. It might. I mean,
I bet they do.
Maybe. We'll give it a try.
The last,
Go for it, Sam.
they're the first of the after credits is clearly setting up Captain Marvel 2, clearly making references to Nick Fury, who's still hanging out in space.
Is that who she was? Okay.
Yeah, she is referring to Nick Fury. She's like,
I
"Oh,
thought it was Captain
a
Marvel.
friend of your mother's."
I thought it was
because think about Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Well, I think they said he.
I thought he said he.
He.
Oh,
said
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, can you think about
I
it?
missed
Captain
that.
Marvel was like 20 or 30 years ago. So now it's Nick Fury present day.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
so, who's supposed to be dead. So how else do you play dead except you go hang out in space?
That's right.
So somebody's at the door right there because Mojo's standing at the gate. Yeah, I just said your name, Mojo. So yeah, WandaVision, I give it 10 Scarlet Witches out of 10. It was awesome. Agatha, I think it's time to put you away for a little bit. Unless we want to
she's sitting in a park somewhere, so we'll know where she's at.
That's
so
true.
are they going to start using Westview as a prison for villains?
Oh,
Basically a idyllic paradise where they erase their minds. They don't know they're in prison. There's precedent for this in the comics.
Except for the actual residents of Westview.
Oh,
Well,
every
they-
single one of them.
Dude, to be fair, yeah, they told them to GTFO.
Yeah.
You guys know what's happening here. Get out.
Can I ask you guys something?
You're going to
else,
go to
seriously?
Western View.
On that note, and talking about how it led into Doctor Strange, I've been meaning to ask this. So we watched Ant-Man and Wasp last weekend, and there's a point when he's going down to be in the what zone is it? The smallest
realm?
one, quantum realm. There's a point at which he crosses something that appears to be the mirror dimension.
I believe
And the
that's
quantum
on
realm
purpose.
appears to be Dormammu's realm.
Could be.
Just in the visual of it, not necessarily saying that it is, but it almost makes me wonder: was that a hint before Doctor Strange? Was that a thing?
Well, was Ant-Man and Wasp before or after Doctor Strange? I thought it was after.
It may be after.
Yeah,
but,
Ant-Man and Wasp was afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, but was that a nod to it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wondered that.
It would not surprise me at all. Because I'm trying to think if Doctor Strange makes any references during any of the Infinity War movies with Ant-Man or anything. I don't think so either.
Because Ant-Man's not a part of anything that Doctor Strange is in.
Yeah.
He gets snapped
True. I forgot
while
about
in the
that.
quantum realm.
Oh, so technically he doesn't get snapped. He's just in the
Right.
quantum realm when
He's
the
just in the
snap
quantum
happens.
realm. Yes, correct.
And he needs the luckiest, sewer rat on the planet to get into his van.
Oh,
and
man.
that was you want to talk about Marvel maybe reaching a little far.
Hey, the van was untouched. Man.
Here's the
It's
thing.
perfect.
Here's the thing. Unless they also buy the Ninja Turtles and that rat turns into Splinter, like talk about a crossover. Ant-Man and the Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Like,
And there's already been a Batman in the Ninja Turtles. So
Exactly.
there is. It's awesome. And there's also
Ant-Man,
been
Batman, and the Ninja Turtles.
so other shows that we have coming up, Falcon Winter Soldier, like I said, that's just a couple of weeks away, March 19th. So yeah, we get one weekend off. And then we're getting Marvel What If. Mojo, what is going on over there, buddy? That was not a Marvel show. I'm talking to my dog. Come here, Mojo.
Hey, Mojo's a character in Marvel.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
There's
Mojo World. That's what
Hi,
I'm going to
Mojo.
call your house, by the way.
There you go. So, Ms. Marvel, obviously the Hawkeye show, Moon Knight,
Obviously, the Hawkeye show.
obviously Moon Knight, She-Hulk. Apparently, there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars. They're talking about a Wakanda TV series. So yeah, and then the movies you've got. I think Black Widow got moved either from May. Black Widow's in May or June, and then you've got Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings in July. Eternals November 5th. I did see an interesting article about Eternals that said that even Marvel is shocked at how good this movie is.
Oh wow,
So
Shang-Chi
it's
is
gonna be
that
the worst,
close?
July, 2021.
Has there been anything released? Stills?
I think some stills, maybe. Spider-Man,
the title,
Homeward Bound. So Spider-Man No Way Home, December of this year. Doctor Strange is
which I'm excited about.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is almost a year from today. Yes, Mojo, can I help you? Thor: Love and Thunder 2022. There's been some interesting images captured from Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't want to spoil anything, but it looks hilarious.
Question:
Black Panther 2 and Captain Marvel. Yep.
Darcy is Thor.
Oh God, I lost it now because of that. Never mind.
So
Moving on. It's fine. It wasn't important. I just wanted to interrupt Cav. Apparently, it's fine. Go ahead, Cav.
It's fun.
It's fun. Let's see what else we have here. So I think that's all the Marvel we have. Actually,
isn't that enough?
Probably.
No, never.
Let's see here. Hold on one second. There was a Deadpool article that I need to pull.
Has anyone seen the new Funkos that are the Libre, like Lucha Libre?
I saw a Vision one from WandaVision though, of White Vision.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah,
that might be a fun one.
They all have their names, but like a variation of their name in Spanish. And Deadpool's is El Chimichanga de la Muerte.
Oh man. Speaking of Deadpool, this is a quote from Kevin Feige. He says, "I think we target everything we're doing now for kids and adults, other than Deadpool, which has already established itself as a certain genre and a certain rating that we've already said we would not mess with when we start working with Deadpool, which we have. Other than that, we've not encountered a storyline, or character's journey that a PG-13 or the tone we've been using up to this point has prevented us. We've never been held back by it." So basically that means Deadpool will remain a rated R, chimichanga-filled, shenanigan-filled movie.
Here's the thing:
see if we get Punisher back.
You have to watch Deadpool knowing that you're just watching Deadpool. Like,
right?
You have to go into it knowing that, similar to Harley Quinn or anything like that. Like, because it's ridiculous, it's vulgar, and that's the extent of it. My only fear, if it ends up on Disney Plus, is the same fear I have with the Deadpool movie. I mean, people that aren't really ready to be watching it are going to watch it because people don't know otherwise, and that's okay. I mean, it happens with every movie.
Again, Once Upon a Deadpool, very good. I highly recommend it.
Is it not the same story as number 2, Deadpool 2?
Yeah, it's the same story, but it's the PG-13 version.
It's the exact same thing.
Oh.
Same runtime.
I didn't realize. Well, but
it's basically Christmas packaging.
He kidnaps Fred Savage. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, switching universes. We're going to talk about Justice League because there are so many things to unpack. Many things to unpack here.
Is there?
There really is. Considering that the movie...
You mean DC threaded the needle?
Considering the movie is 4 hours and 1 minute long.
That's
4
crazy.
hours and a minute long.
He had to have that extra minute, didn't he? He couldn't wrap it up.
Yeah, well.
What a shame.
So it is basically, it happens in 6 parts, 6 chapters.
So when you say 6 parts, do you mean like broken up into 6 parts, or it's like kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie where it's like chapter this, chapter 1,
Chapter. Yeah, basically there are chapter cards. Basically chapter 1 is called Don't Count on It, Batman. Chapter 2 is called The Age of Heroes. Thank you, Tyler. Chapter 3 is called Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. Chapter 4 is called Change Machine. Chapter 5 is called All the King's Horses. Chapter 6 is called Something Darker.
So
why did they just not call Chapter 3 Martha?
Yeah. Yes. So
that's a good question.
They said that obviously they included reshoots, including the Jared Leto Joker, which actually looks really good.
It does. He looks. I mean, dude looks way crazy.
Yes, and so you've got that piece of it, but other things that have been released is that this movie ends on a cliffhanger. Like, we knew it was coming because it was supposed to be parts 2 and 3. Also, one of the craziest things out of what we've been learning about Justice League as the lead up to this has happened is one of the original things that Zack Snyder wanted to do with Justice League is when post the death of Superman, Bruce Wayne, Lois Lane become a thing, which is like counter to everything in the DC universe. But I think it's actually, it's interesting. So what they have done is they have released basically the plots for Justice League 2 and 3 because it's supposed to be whatever. Milo, go on outside. Go. So
Kev, one of our fans is harassing me. Can we ban him?
Who is that?
That would be
Josh?
You know who.
Josh. Yeah. Yes, we can ban him. So I'm going to. This is from Comic Book Movie. And the title of the article is Justice League 2 and 3 full plot synopsis reveals Zack Snyder's amazing, ambitious, and crazy plans for the DCEU. So grab some popcorn because this is a bit of a long read. It's 10 parts.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have any popcorn.
Yes.
Is this what we're finally going to make into our own movie?
Yes. Following the
GTN
events.
presents.
Following the events of Justice League, the team reassembles to deal with a natural disaster, but ultimately go their separate ways and each have things to deal with in their personal lives. Like I said, this is on comicbookmovie.com. This is from Hamilton Parker. Remember, an earlier version of the film was set to include a romance between Bruce Wayne and Lois Lane. While that won't be part of the Snyder Cut, it was set to heavily influence the sequel. Lois may have gone back to Superman, but she and Bruce are working together secretly to find Lex Luthor. However, the Dark Knight knows she is hiding something. Meanwhile, Lex is assembling basically the anti-Justice League, Dr. Poison, Captain Cold, Orm, and Black Manta. And all of those baddies were actually set to be introduced in Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Aquaman. So basically, that was supposed to be there. This is part 9. They call it Batman versus the Riddler, which, by the way, the image they use for the Riddler, that is, I believe, a Jeremy Hahn image there. While all this is happening, Superman struggles to return to his normal life now that Clark Kent is dead and learns that Lois is pregnant. Wonder Woman discovers a way to return to Themyscira, and Cyborg helps the Flash clear his father's name. Meanwhile, the Amazon who warned Diane of Steppenwolf's attack helps her to see a vision of her home, but Wonder Woman also sees herself becoming the god of war and killing Superman. Aquaman is employed in an Atlantean conflict as it plays out and struggles to unite the Seven following a battle with the Unseen. Batman is also pretty busy tracking the Riddler to an abandoned cabin. He learns that Lex has approached the Riddler and tasked him with solving the anti-life equation, which he does. Once Batman finds him, Riddler shoots himself in front of Batman.
Oh, man.
The anti-life equation. Lex manages to activate the mother boxes and plans to take the anti-life equation for himself. That's when Darkseid arrives, takes the power from Lex, and where he'd hoped thousands of years earlier when he sent Steppenwolf to Earth in Justice League. Superman asks Batman to protect Lois and heads off to battle the villain. Bruce and Lois argue, and she claims he is not the father. Insert Maury Povich here. When he admits knowing she's
Survey
pregnant.
results says that your answer is false.
False. Lex tells Darkseid he has the power to kill Superman, but that's not what he wants. Instead, he wishes to make the Kryptonians subservient to him, and to do that, he must be broken. Luthor points Darkseid in Lois's direction, and when he arrives in the Batcave, Bruce, feeling powerless and overwhelmed, is frozen as Darkseid uses his Omega beams to kill Lois. Superman witnesses this, too slow, falls under Darkseid and under the anti-life equation's control. Lex's team attacks Dr. Poison, unleashes a special gas on Themyscira that kills the Amazons, including Wonder Woman, who dies in her mother's arms. Aquaman, meanwhile, is overpowered by Orm and Black Manta, and Mera only barely manages to escape. That explains their absence from the Nightmare timeline that we have seen thus far. And while Flash survives thanks to Cyborg's intervention, Victor Stone winds up being torn in half, which I think we've seen something similar. Batman barely escapes Superman, and when the Man of Steel comes face to face with Lex, he burns him down where he stands. Bye-bye, Lex. 5 years later, we're in the Nightmare timeline. What's left of the Justice League struggles to survive in a world ruled by Darkseid, and as they approach a broken-down Wayne Manor, they need to hurry because, quote, he's coming. Justice League 3. So that gets us to Justice League 2.
Oh, man.
Justice League 3. The third film opens with Green Lantern Corps. Green Lantern arrives on a desolate Earth searching for his partner, but finds an unexpected ally in Batman, who helps him with the parademons. Deadshot shows up to lend a helping hand, as does the Flash. The Dark Knight warns Barry to stay out of the fight because he's too valuable, but the Scarlet Speedster doesn't listen and is almost killed, as the Flash constantly is. Green Lantern saves him, and their iconic friendship is born. They return to Wayne Manor, Batman explaining that he has a plan to stop Darkseid. Green Lantern is on board, but wonders how. Come on, interwebs. Next page.
Green Lantern.
Cyborg is building the cosmic treadmill. Hello, Flashpoint, I think. Isn't that where cosmic treadmill shows up as Flashpoint? There are complications that come with time travel. For starters, they don't know exactly where Barry will end up, and it's something they can only try pulling off once a year when the planets align. As you do. Earth's population has fallen to Darkseid, have become his new parademons or Superman soldiers. That is how Deadshot lost his daughter and why the team needs to steal a mother box, which is the only thing that can power a cosmic treadmill, but only for 10 to 15 seconds. What can Flash tell Batman in 10 to 15 seconds? Martha. They all agree that they have to stop Lex, but Bruce, you have to stop Lex is what they tell Batman. What they want to tell Batman. But Bruce later pulls Barry aside and whispers something else in his ear that will be more effective. It shocks Flash. They steal a mother box, but not without attracting Superman's attention. Deadshot attempts to slow him down with a kryptonite bullet, but Deadshot is killed by Superman. Mira is crushed after trying to remove the water from his body. Interesting play, because Mira can control water. Green Lantern proves to be no match for Superman, uses his corrupted heat vision to blow apart his ring and him along with it.
Ugh.
Cyborg is tossed to the parademons and ripped to shreds, leaving only Batman and his kryptonite spear left standing. He fails to stop Superman, and Superman impales him with said spear.
Okay.
Just before he can reach the Flash, however, the Flash races back in time. When the Flash arrives in the Batcave moments after Bruce's argument with Lois, telling him that she lied, and he is, in fact, the father. Lois overhears and this time able to tell Batman what she wanted to the last time they met before Darkseid is attacked. Lex has assembled a team he plans to use to stop the Justice League. So Lois knew it, was killed before she could tell Batman, but now details. After Darkseid attacks, and history appears to be repeating itself, the Flash vanishes from existence, and the Caped Crusader leads into action, saving Lois, but taking a shot from the Omega Beams. Ow. There is sort of some precedent for this in comics, too. An empowered, angry Superman forces Darkseid to retreat and races into action to stop Lex from killing his fellow heroes. The Injustice League is defeated, but Bruce is dying and tells Lois he wished he could have had a life together outside the cave. They go into battle for what may be his final mission. Earth is united against Darkseid. The countries of the world come together, combine their forces to stop the villains and Lex. Wonder Woman, because of everything that's been fixed, is now leading to Mascara. Aquaman is bringing the Atlanteans to the fight. The entire Green Lantern Corps shows up, so the entire DC universe, everything assembles to save the planet. Sounds familiar on your left. There are casualties. Hippolyta dies in Diana's arms, so the League is unstoppable. Flash is now so fast he can be in two places at once, while Cyborg takes control of the mother boxes and destroys them to weaken Darkseid. Ultimately, Batman sacrifices his life to put an end to the villain once and for all. Following the battle, Wonder Woman becomes the new leader of Themyscira. She negotiates peace across the world, every country, introducing a new era of peace for the planet. Aquaman is crowned the rightful ruler of Atlantis. Cyborg has evolved, becoming a god of the digital age and transforming himself again to look human. Superman knows that Bruce is the father of Lois's child, but still loves her and wants to be a father to the boy.
It's Pearl Harbor.
With that, he has a reason to be Clark Kent again. That's funny. We don't know what happens to Lex or the Flash, but 20 years later, a memorial service for Batman sees Commissioner Barbara Gordon ask Lois when she plans to tell her child the truth about Bruce. Surrounded by the League, she tells her son that his dad was Batman. The movie ends in Gotham City with the emergence of a familiar figure. Bruce and Lois's son has decided to take over the mantle to protect his father's home and legacy. Batman lives again.
Oh man.
Finish.
That was the craziest episode of Injustice ever.
I'm so
I just
glad
need-
that they didn't
I just
get
need to
that.
know when we get Captain Planet out of all that.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. That's where we were initially going, but obviously, so there's been a lot of discussions about how, Warner Brothers got involved with Zack Snyder and said, you're not doing these things, namely Bruce and Lois. But even their quotes, there is an executive, I don't believe they are quoted. Requesting an anonymity. Talking about Joss Whedon's Justice League, quote, goofy and awful. When we got to see what Joss actually did, it was stupefying. This is a Warner Brothers executive.
I mean, it's rumor,
Yes.
Well, and I don't know that it's too far off of the truth either.
So out of everything that he proposed, the thing that they were like, no, is Brois.
Brois.
Brois. Hey, but they're going with
Brois.
Sparkle Bats.
Well, hey, it's
so
either that
okay.
or Loose.
Yeah.
Let's go with Brois.
Brois.
Loose
And so
sounds
apparently,
familiar.
after the critical failure of Batman v Superman, the director sent down producers to act as babysitters to Nick's ideas. And they said part of it is like apparently they had this beautiful speech where Bruce says to Alfred, "I've never had a life outside the cave. I never imagined the world for me beyond this. But this woman makes me think if I can get this group of gods together, then my job is done. I can quit. I can stop." And that has always been Batman's problem. Is
enough?
When is enough? I mean, you see it all the way back to Mask of the Phantasm, like wanting to give up the cowl, but the cave life is all he's ever known or knows.
Oh, cow.
So, yes, not the cowl.
I mean, you saw that in the original Batman series movie that we got. I mean, you saw the same issue.
Yep, he just
You
wants
know.
a life, and then she gets blown up. So
Details, man. Details.
as you do.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that Batman. I was talking about Michael Keaton.
Oh, I was talking about Batman Begins.
yeah, I know. I mean, but you even see the same struggle of wanting to give up the cowl.
Yeah.
The conversation of it,
Yeah.
letting his identity be known.
Yeah.
You see that
Know my
then,
secret identity.
and then somebody had to get nuts, and so they got nuts. Who knows? He shot him in the chest with a bullet.
True.
Then he kicked him off the ledge, and he had a laugh attack.
Yeah. Wow.
Can I tell you, in that movie, the thing I wanted to see was the thing out of like Goonies, where the teeth grab a hold of something and the Joker's like dangling. I wanted to see that as a kid. I wanted to see that, and I didn't get it. It's too bad.
Oh. And so that is what's happening. So Justice League comes out in 2 weeks, a little less than. So there's that 4-hour movie. At the same day, they're also releasing the remastered version of Batman v Superman with the IMAX aspect ratio as well, and some color correction on 4K. So literally, like March 18th, they might as well just call it Zack Snyder Max, because you're going to have, because that movie's the director's cut. That's 3.5, 320 something, I think, plus 4 hours of Justice League. Plus another 2 hours of Justice League should you decide to submit yourself to the Joss Whedon version. Yeah, going to be a long day there. In other news, and what some people are talking about, how Warner Brothers is not happy even with the Snyder Cut and is so sick of hearing about it, they decided to announce that J.J. Abrams is working on a Superman reboot just to take some of the some of the news cycle away. Well, then Zack Snyder just started releasing character trailers. So, like, I mean, this is what you do. So there's a new show on CW, Superman and Lois. Apparently, it is really, really good. It got some pretty stellar ratings. After one episode, it was renewed for season 2. And so J.J. Abrams is working on a new Superman movie. They were talking about there's been rumors that it will be a reboot or part of the DCEU, so it won't be Henry Cavill. It will be a Superman movie, but it'll be kind of how Joker lives on its own, something along those lines. It basically says to be invited into the DCEU by Warner Brothers, DC Films, and Bad Robot is an honor. This is talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is a best-selling author and comic book writer, is the one who's writing the story. And so there's always been these rumors about a Michael B. Jordan-led Superman movie. So it's possible. Don't know.
It'd be amazing.
It could be. So, but it is said that J.J. Abrams' Superman movie reportedly will not feature Clark Kent. So you never know. Henry Cavill may be too busy anyways. He posted an image on Instagram talking about he was in the chair for The Witcher, and he's holding a piece of paper, and they have a bunch of stuff blurred out. But doesn't Henry Cavill know that that's not how the internet works? The internet basically de-blurred it, what he had, and a corner of there's some blurred out words, but they figured him out, and it clearly reads Cerberus, Reaper, Geth, and Tali'Zorah. Hello, Mass Effect.
Woohoo.
So who knows? He may be getting involved because there's been talk about, a Mass Effect movie or show, and so he might be getting involved with that, which is pretty fun. I'll watch whatever. Speaking of shows, much to the delight of 7 people, including myself, Frasier is being rebooted. Kelsey Grammer is coming back.
I saw that and thought of you.
Absolutely, it will
Man,
be part
I gave you a perfect lead-in earlier for that.
Flow.
I didn't even know this was coming off.
So it will be a flagship offering on the new Paramount Plus streaming service, which will also have a new Beavis and Butthead movie. So
that's what we've been missing.
That's what I've been missing this whole time.
Oh, I thought it was TP. I thought we were missing TP.
There has been no word if any of the other actors from Frasier, like David Hyde Pierce or Jane Leeves, will return, because at the end of Frasier, he was flying to a different city. So this could be interesting, considering he doesn't have to worry about any network stuff or anything like that. It's going to be Paramount Plus. So let's see. Also begin streaming on. So Paramount Plus officially launches on March 4th, a couple days ago. Other shows: American Tragedy, a dark comedy called Guilty Party, and including a sequel to A Quiet Place, and the 7th Mission Impossible installment will come to the service after its theatrical run. So
nice.
Yes.
Speaking of
Frasier,
kind of DC movies and just things coming to services and whatnot.
Frasier, DC.
Have you? Sorry, I'm cycling back.
Frasier and Mass Effect.
Yes. Is anybody using the DC streaming stuff?
It's not active anymore. It's all
I
HBO.
didn't think so.
It's all HBO Max now. They converted it to a comic, like a digital whatever thing for comic books.
Digital distribution.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. Yep. So
I'm just going to root for Kelsey Grammer to play Commander Shepard.
I mean, yeah.
There you go.
He could pull it off.
So.
We've been watching at Church 2's recommendation. We went through the Goldbergs.
Okay.
And I just want you to know, this is unrelated yet related. There was a Cheers episode where at the end they had like 4 of the characters from Cheers walk into the Goldbergs' living room, and they all sat down at the bar there, and they were drinking, and it was glorious.
So one of the writers on the Goldbergs, I think he still is Matt Myra, and he used to be on the Nerdist. He is a die-hard Cheers and Frasier fan, like to the point that he watches them. Apparently, he does an entire watch through once a year. He used to have a podcast with Kevin Smith, which was a Frasier commentary podcast, like for every episode. Would not surprise me if he wrote that episode. And so that's pretty cool, actually. I might just have to search out that episode.
It's nice to see. There was one character from the Goldbergs that was an actress from the original series from Cheers. And they just brought in all these random people for no particular reason. And they just do that throughout the series. They just bring in people that, like, the last season they have, or the current season, I guess, they have Steve Gutenberg as a science teacher.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
Cab, are you Matt Mira?
Yeah.
Of Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
That's a great.
I didn't know he was a writer. I didn't know
I'm-
he was a writer on Goldberg's. That's awesome.
Now I haven't heard anything that he's done any podcast in a while, but he was writing on the Goldbergs at one point.
That's cool.
Okay.
So, let's talk about games. So many games. We were talking about last episode about that Warner Brothers got the Nemesis system copyrighted. Apparently, that's not the only one. So there was an article that came out like not long after we had that conversation. 5 game mechanics legally protected by the companies that made them. Shadow Mordor's Nemesis system. Apparently, the dialogue wheel from Mass Effect is copyrighted.
I did not realize that. That's amazing.
So that's interesting. Splinter Cell's last known position feature. I'm assuming that's just
right. It's the same thing they do in Assassin's Creed. Whenever the last place people knew where you were.
Apparently, that is a copyrighted feature for Splinter Cell.
In fact, weren't they doing that in like Metal Gear like 20 years ago?
Final Fantasy's active time battle.
Also something that is constantly recycled.
Yes.
Even now.
My particular favorite, the Crazy Taxi objective arrow.
Which has only ever been done in Crazy Taxi games. No one ever did it before, and no one ever did it since.
Says, few noticed when Sega applied for an obscure patent in the late 90s, but they sat up when the company began brandishing it as a weapon. This is from PC Gamer. A couple years after Crazy Taxi hit arcades and shortly before it was ported to PC, Radical Entertainment made The Simpsons Road Rage, a console-only clone that swapped out the generic screeching passengers for Springfield Sea Captain and Bumblebee Man.
It was fantastic.
Sega spotted the resemblance and filed an infringement suit in U.S. federal court, which was settled afterwards. Its patent covered everything from the way pedestrians dodged cars to the giant arrow that pointed drivers to their next destination. BioShock got away with the last one, though, maybe because the patent law doesn't apply in Rapture's notoriously free markets. Say what you say. So, yeah, that was, it's like a patent troll. Like, I'm going to patent all these things and just sue people and see who will.
Yeah.
So, yes, there is that. Anthem is dead. It's not even in here, but Anthem is completely dead. Like it's dead. So long, Anthem.
So bad.
Yes, so they will be focusing on other games, including potentially Dragon Age 4. And so apparently Dragon Age 4
Wagon Age.
Yes, Wagon Age. Beware of scurvy. Or what do you die from? Dysentery.
Wagon Age.
Starvation and
Scurvy is Sea of Thieves. I get them mixed up all the time. Oregon Trail, Sea of Thieves. I mean, they're interchangeable, really.
Same thing.
Kind of.
There will be no EA online multiplayer mandate for Dragon Age 4.
Thank goodness.
EA is allowing the team to remove all planned multiplayer components from the game, and so that means they will be focused purely on a single player, like on a contained world. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Star Wars Republic Commando, Delta Squad on PS4 and Switch. So you have a new Republic Commando puts you in the helmet of RC-1338, aka Boss, who led a small but elite squad of commandos against the Separatist army. So
Commando was so much fun. I highly recommend it to everybody. It was so great.
So there you go. It's coming to Switch. Also, if you don't have a Switch yet, you may not want to buy one yet. Reportedly before Christmas, a new Nintendo Switch is going to release with 4K output and OLED screen.
We went to Target the other day. There were so many of them.
So they were talking about it will still be a 720p screen. However, 720p on OLED is going to look so good, you're not even going to notice. And you really can't do 4K.
You sound really excited about that.
It was partial. That was a yawn that I couldn't stop.
That was awesome.
So, because you can't like doing 4K on a screen that's 6 inches or 5.5 inches really makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah, you can't see it. It's a huge power draw. It makes no sense.
Yep.
And
But if you put it in the dock, then you will get 4K visuals. So,
Church, were you saying that it was the standard switches, not the lights that you saw?
There was a bunch of lights, and there were like 2 or 3 standards.
Oh, okay. I've been thinking about picking up another one because Hannah's kind of hogging it for Animal Crossing.
Of the lights?
No, not the lights. So the regular one.
They had several. They had a couple of the regular, and then they had a couple of one with Mario Kart.
Oh, okay. Fun.
So nothing else. Oh, they had several Oculuses.
Oh, good.
VR. Does anybody really care?
Well,
I mean, I'm really excited.
I'd like to
about
try it. I mean, I want to play on the piano in Wayne Manor.
Church, when you come over this afternoon, we will set up the riff for you.
That sounds great. I want to play
Okay.
Black Parade on that piano.
That's
and
it, okay.
toss the picture of his family several times.
Set that up for him.
Yeah.
Please record
Yeah.
it for us to use.
We'll do
There's been some new screenshots of Halo Infinite looking a lot better in some 4K screenshots. It doesn't look awful. Poor Craig. So Craig's getting a facelift, and so a few new screenshots that are from an in-development PC version of the game. So they're not photoshopped version. Basically, it's what it's supposed to look like. They've also talked about there will be mysteries in the sky, a very kind of odd, this very general thing as well. So yeah, they continue to work on Halo. And the fact that
we knew it'd get better.
Yeah, we knew it'd get better, but the fact that I think we're really just now realizing just how far off it really was when the Series X was going to launch. There would that game, they had barely started scratching, I think, what that game was going to look like, because clearly another year in development is, we're supposed to have it sometime this year. Don't know when. Well, excuse me, I can't stop yawning. I'm just gonna read the title of this. We had a bunch of science stuff that I moved to the next episode because we figured this one would go long. Just gonna read the title of this article from the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto blamed for recent surge in carjackings in Chicago. Gaming experts object to proposed Illinois sales ban. All right, it's Monday when Democratic State Representative Marcus Evans spoke out to a news conference citing video games as contributing to the carjacking surge in Chicago. In January, 218 vehicular hijackings were reported, the highest number since 2001. Okay.
Clearly, it's because of the release of Grand Theft Auto 5 7 years ago.
Exactly. 8
years ago now. Sorry.
This is unfair. Whenever violence happens, Grand Theft Auto always gets blamed. But no one, when a spectacular building gets built, no one ever goes, "Hey, good job, SimCity. Hey, Tetris players, awesome job. Keep it up."
It's true.
Double standard. Where's our praise?
It's also easier to find a
Grant's
scapegoat
over.
for something that you don't know how to fix.
That's what this is. These violent video games aren't helping. And so, this is just, I just don't know. Hey, this is also a quote, something along the lines of, when you heard about Evan's bill, Kashana Gray, who's the author of Intersectional Technology, Black Users in Digital Gaming, and is an assistant professor in communication and gender and women's studies at the University of Illinois, Chicago, laughed long and hard. This is what the article says. This is what I call lazy legislating. When a person does something dramatic and very visible, it's like the low-hanging fruit of legislation. Let's just blame something that we don't understand anything about and don't have to have a nuanced, complex conversation about. Let's just point to something and say that's the reason we're having all these carjackings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same argument can be made about many things that have been argued have caused things. So I agree. I mean,
the
music,
Snyder Cut
video games,
definitely causes
TVs, you name it.
carjackings.
Snyder Cut, all those things cause violence. So
Roller hockey.
yeah. So, but I mean, not to make fun
I
of
mean,
it,
that
but I
doesn't make
mean,
sense
seriously,
either,
it is lazy legislation. It's finding a cause because you think it's a cause and not even understanding.
I mean, that's the I mean, lazy legislation was probably the best way to put it, because this is a conversation that is had many, many times. And there have been many, many, many independent studies that come back and have said there is no correlation. There is no discernible correlation between people playing violent video games and exhibiting violent behavior. The violent behavior is traditionally a symptom of something else, like not because they play games.
Yeah.
I mean,
or a decision they've made.
Yeah.
When was the last time that was in the news, though?
We 2000s.
A few months ago.
A
few months ago?
Swatting, I mean, really has kind of brought it back.
That happened locally too. Somebody was attempting to be to have somebody be swatted. That happened locally.
So it's just, and that's the thing, like,
I wish Hams was here.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I just it's one of the things. Yes, obviously they have some sort of an issue they need to deal with there, and it is unfortunate that people are having to undergo those types of things, like being carjacked. But guess what, Chicago? Video games are not your problem.
Well, and I don't, without stepping off into something, because we're already really long on this whole situation, but just the fact that I think there's a larger socioeconomical issue going on with a lot of problems that we have.
Yep.
And I think it's easy to point the finger at a scapegoat and say that this is the problem, and then this is the problem, and then this is the problem, and you're still not even addressing a symptom of it, So it's all that guy right there, Mephisto.
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 Churchsto.
full circle, Mephisto. Yeah, but so I think it's easy for people who are removed from those situations to look at them and find causes that they believe create situations.
Yeah.
And I think that in turn fails to legislate and represent the people. And that's all I'll say.
Sure. I agree. All right, gang.
Well spoken.
It is 3:17 Central Standard Time. I think it is time to wrap this up.
Okay.
It's 65 degrees and sunny in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It is indeed. It is a beautiful day. And there could be snow flurries next week.
I'm sure that.
Doubt it.
Maybe it's next weekend. Something. They're in the forecast again.
Seriously?
They are indeed.
Well,
this has been episode 176. Go follow us on all the social places: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook,
MySpace,
Friendster, Napster,
Friendster.
LimeWire.
I forgot about Friendster. That's so funny.
GTN chat room.
Yes, go find the GTN chat room on AOL.
ASL, everybody.
Oh man, now we gotta go make it.
Now we gotta go.
What,
true.
AOL again?
Yeah.
Gonna have to go. But apparently, you still can only access it if you're on dial-up. So I don't know.
AOL's still around?
Technically speaking, yes.
Ah,
Yep.
fantastic.
Yes.
Technically speaking.
All right. What was I going to call this title? I didn't write it down.
I
It's in
can't
there.
remember, but you said it in the.
Yeah, I'll have to
So.
go
What
re-listen.
was it about? There can only be one witch, something like that.
Oh,
Highlander Witch.
No, it
Highlander
was
witch.
Snow
was
Owl.
something. What was it? It was something Highlander witch related. I can't remember. Yeah, I'll find it and in there. But that's
There
the
can be
title,
only
whatever
one.
it's going to call. Episode 100, and there can only be one Highlander witch. I don't know. 176. I'm Cav. That's Nick.
See you guys.
Sam.
Hannah's still kind of not evil.
I would like to make, just for, evidentiary purposes, he went from still kind of not evil, which I believe is a change in attitude from last week.
It is.
Sam, are you in danger?
Blink twice if you're in danger.
I mean, she's not here, so I'm fine.
Here's the thing. I'm not
You need
going
me
to
to come
lie.
over?
You do look like you
Oh,
were in
minutes
a
away.
very nondescript, location. Like, there's nothing to tell us where you are. Like, are you in witness protection?
Still a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
trying to get over there.
Okay, church.
Be kind, guys.
See everybody. Have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go watch WandaVision from start to finish again.
Yes.
Enjoy your weekend off, and then we're gonna go into Captain Soldier and Winter Falcon. Good night.
The F-Zero Show.